I sit back and I don't say nothing. I've never been somebody that's been a racist. I understand the black man's struggle. I grew up around black folk. I've had black folk as friends when I grew up. Okay? I've said this before. I look at everybody as human. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your skin color is. You're just as human as the rest of us. But I sit back and I see guys like this guy right here. Okay? I see guys like Angel Snup Snup. That's right, speaking about the white guy that got beat up and mugged and stripped down. That's right, basically robbed and stripped. Okay, and I sit there listening to Angel Snup Snup. He made a 2-part video on that situation. And what Angel Snup Snup done is what a racist person would do. Okay, he found a way to turn it around and justify the behavior by using something that happened to his people, okay, by other people, okay, not by this guy, by other people, okay, and even before his time, a lot like what this guy does, okay, and it just makes me sick. Okay, and then I hear the new Black Panthers, which is just the new KKK, a government entity.
White folks been looking at niggas crazy since the get go, since we was first brought there. Ain't nothing changed. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing changed.
Since you was first brought here, so you're going back what 400 or 500 freaking years. So in other words, before you was born, you didn't even exist. Okay, before I was born, I didn't even exist. Let me tell you something. When something's before you was born, before I was born, before your life never interfered with your life, something like that, but you want to use that as some way to get an extra privilege, then I have to say, so what you're really saying, just like when I hear all the complaints about the people in power are all white. The people in power are all white. The people holding all the good jobs are all white. People making all the money is all white. When I look at the basketball league that makes mega money, national basketball, the majority of it's black people. When I look in Congress, I see black senators, black congressmen. When I look in Hollywood, I see Eddie Murphy, Red Fox, that's right, Richard Pryor, Wesley Snipes. Now I could give you a list that goes on and on. I look at music and I see rappers. I see Charlie Pride, country western. I see blacks in positions. Okay, I had a black man that was a GM, a general manager, made a hell of a lot more than I did. Okay, who was my boss? I liked the guy a lot. His name was Carlton. I had nothing but respect for him. But do I play into this bullshit about the white man's this, the white man's that, the white man's got all the power? No, because that comes back to being placed on a pedestal. That comes back to when you complain about women having all the power. You know, the virus that attacked the human brain. Well, it's the same. It's one and the same. Because power and greed has no end. You know, if you can honestly complain about things like I've heard you complaining about, then I would have to say, what are you after? A special privilege? A special right because of your skin color? No, you don't get a special right because of your skin color. That's like being a female. If you want female privilege, now you want what? Black privilege? No. You don't get black privilege because your skin's black. Okay? I'm sorry, I'm not a racist. That's not a racist statement. It's just wrong. Wrong is wrong. Wrong is wrong, okay? You know, I don't have no say-so over what goes on in society, but to sit back and whine about what's going on It's just absolutely freaking pathetic because this world's what we made of it. And fighting one another, retarded.
You know, it's like my thing is, like I said before, back in the day, you know, when we first came here, we was butt naked. You
See, this is my problem. Back in the day, back in a time before he was ever born, something that never affected his personal life. Back in the day, huh? People that never done nothing to you, like Angel Snup Snup, justifying that guy. Didn't matter how he did it. He fucking Angel twisted it all around, made sure while he was in the wrong place because he was in their space. He invaded their space. Okay? And if it was racist, then it was still justified somehow because of what happened to his people by these people, so therefore it was okay to do this to him. I mean, that's just justifying you being a hatred bigot, okay? That's what that's doing. You're justifying yourself hating on somebody because of their skin color. And if you want to justify it, you can justify it all you want, but it makes you, no better than this right here.
Black Power, Brother Sean. This is Sister Michelle, Chief of Staff for Tampa, St. Petersburg, chapter of the New Black Power. I just want to say to all the listeners that's on this phone call, if you are having any doubts about getting suited, booted, and armed up for this race war that we in that has never ended, let me tell you something. The things that's about to happen to these honkies, these crackers, these pigs, these pink people, these motherfucking purple people, it has been long overdue.
Yeah, but what she said was right. We got to suit up and boot up. We got to suit up and boot up and get prepared for the war that we're in, where this stuff got to boil over. And all your greats talked about that happened to be bloodshed involved with revolution. True revolution means some bloodshed. So there's blood being spilled because there's a new life that is beyond this bloodshed. There's a new reality that is built upon your original African principles and spiritualities and values and norms that is beyond this bloodshed. But we can.
That's right. Government entity. KKK, Black Panthers, one and the same. See, they're calling for bloodshed. They're calling for a racial war. That's right, they're calling for death. They're calling for killing people. They're doing just exactly what the global elite want. Population reduction. They sit back and laugh at your dumbass.
Got to go through it. And as the scriptures say, you got to cross it. You're going to have to cross the Red Sea. You're going to have to cross the Red
As the scripture said, you failed to grow up. Yep, you're an epic failure. You never did grow up. You're still a child.
Sea. I know y'all thought it was talking about some sea in some Middle Eastern part of the world. Hell no. We're talking about some blood. You're going to have to cross some blood and go through some blood and some battles. And there are those who wish they could stand in this hour to see the destruction of the devil's world and the devil's society. And I ain't talking about no dude underneath the ground with a pitchfork and pantyhose. I'm talking about that blonde-haired, blue-eyed, sometimes brown-eyed Caucasian walking around with a mindset, a demonistic mindset, and the nature to do evil and brutality.
I say to everyone that is on this call right now, I'm coming out of the gates like that greyhound on that rabbit's ass. And his prize, my prize right now this evening is going to be the bounty, the arrest, dead or alive, for George Zimmerman. You feel me? To every brother, to every female. I am for violence if non-violence means we continue postponing a solution to the American black man's problem just to avoid violence. You feel me? It's time to wake up. I don't know how else. It's in me to fight. It's in me to raise up soldiers.
That's right. It's in me to be a child. It's in me. It's just in me. With the fucking see, this is what I mean. All you got to do is look hard at the Trayvon Martin case. You realize that the media and the government involvement, okay, you realize that it was intentionally done to steer up exactly this, a racial war. And then you look at what they're calling for. Okay, you look at what they're calling for. You look at what he's saying. You listen to the snuff snuff. You look at the old man that got beat up because he was white. They done nothing to nobody. Okay, it's no different than the cop, the BART station. That colored man done nothing to nobody, and that fucking white cop shot him for no fucking reason at all. And that white cop fucking then gets fucking by with it because he's already out of jail. So, no, I respect you when it comes to that. You know, if something happened to that white cop, I couldn't feel sorry for him for the least because it's complete hogwash. But I'm not playing into your damn division. I'm not going to fall into your division. I'm not going to be stupid enough to sit here and complain about something because I have no guilt. I have no guilt for something that happened to you 400 years ago when I wasn't alive that I had nothing to do with. Because if I was alive 400 years ago, I'd have been the man standing next to you fighting to free your ass against the evil that was trying to enslave you. See, so, no, I have no guilt. I had nothing to do with it, and I hold no guilt for something I didn't do. Okay? And if you think that's a cop-out on my side, no, the cop-out is on your side for thinking that you have something to use on somebody when it's something that never affected you. Because you wasn't alive 400 years ago neither, son. And that's to all of you people who think that way. But I'll tell you what you are doing. You're giving the government their want. That's what you're doing. You're giving the government their want. And through you giving the government their want, the government will get their want. And we will all be slaves equally. Every last one of us. Because of your ignorance. Okay? And I'm not giving you no pedestal. We're not placing you up on a pedestal because your skin's black. Okay? No. That will not happen. You will not be given black privilege like female privilege because your skin is black. You can forget that bullshit. Not happening. The women need kicked off the pedestal and we're sure the hell not putting somebody else up in their place. You can forget that shit. Virus that attacked the human brain. It's just, this is sickening, okay? It really is disgusting. It's sickening.